the one who attributes all of his poor choices to his issues, his habits, and his brokenness. However, I must emphasize that you, regardless of your marital status, are not to be held responsible for their choices. Someone with a large enough platform and a good enough algorithm can make money whenever people click on their false information, which is why some people do it out of greed or the desire to make a quick buck. This fight is obviously intended to harm Daystar, and I know it. Hello there. We appreciate you all subscribing to our channel. Joni Lamb's months-long silence sparked numerous inquiries, speculations, and demands for clarity. She has decided to speak out now, at long last. So, to put it bluntly, people wanted the truth. Many were hoping that Joni would finally speak out regarding the events surrounding Daystar television network. They had hoped that she would clarify things and provide some relief to those who have felt confused, betrayed, or hurt by the controversy surrounding her, Doug Weiss, and Daystar. However, that is not the actual account of events. Joni appeared on a podcast not long ago. All those nagging questions had been hanging over her like storm clouds, and now was her chance to finally answer them. Everyone from current and former Daystar fans to critics and fans of the show were prepared to listen. The crowd eagerly awaited something to happen. What did they receive? Many are describing Joni's response as evasive and disheartening because she failed to provide a clear explanation of who she is. She simply stated that podcasters and bloggers were spreading false information without providing any details, without addressing the main accusations head-on, or even saying, hey, here's what's true and what's not. That was essentially it. Now, let's pause and think about the implications of that. Rumor has it that Daystar is utilizing donation funds for personal matters and is attempting to cover up an alleged assault involving Joni's own granddaughter. No, this isn't your average internet drama. A lot of suffering, family issues, and financial concerns are all present. When Joni claims everything is a lie without providing any evidence or reasoning, it hits many people like a ton of bricks. People are also extremely enthralled. Why? Everyone expects the CEO of a big Christian TV network to be forthright and honest when they're entangled in a controversy like this. Their teachings on integrity, love, and trust in God have led to this. Their desire for accountability and truth is evident. That was not said by Joni, though. She failed to specify the falsehoods, provide sufficient evidence to support her claims, mention the pain endured by others, the betrayal felt by her followers, or mention the apparent division within her own family. She instead said something along the lines of, God will handle the bloggers. Well, that certainly isn't going to satisfy the longtime fans, generous donors, and weekly viewers of Daystar who come to hear encouraging words about God's healing and honesty. It raised more questions than it answered. Does this imply that she does not believe any of the claims to be true? Is she implying that the alleged attack never took place? Does she really mean that financial concerns don't exist? Is they're all just jealous and lying her only point? In the absence of explicit instructions, others will figure out how to complete the puzzle. It's simply the way people are. Currently, there is a school of thought that holds that Joni's remarks have actually made matters worse. There are others who believe she sidestepped the serious issues. She chose to ignore the pain and confusion caused by others and instead pointed fingers. Especially in the Christian world, when leaders behave in such a way, people lose faith. As a result, they start to question everything. Daystar was more to its viewers than just a television station. That much is true. I felt at home there. Hearing messages of faith, forgiveness, and family gave people hope during difficult times. That's why such scandals sting so much. Even outside of the news, people will never forget it. So what's the plan? More confusion is inevitable unless Joni speaks up, says what she meant, and addresses the issues directly. If Daystar's leaders aren't prepared to be honest when it counts, more and more employees may decide to quit. Narratives will persist. So that's our situation. It's not ideal. Whether you believe in Joni or not, one thing is certain. This will not go away anytime soon. The truth usually comes out, especially when there are a lot of eyes on it. Yes, you do remember correctly. We kind of found out when I said, "What about that Susie girl? I like her." Somehow I became aware of her and browsed her Facebook profile. You were far less knowledgeable about Facebook than I was, and am about this platform. At last I shared a photo of a girl with you, and you remarked, "Oh, she's so pretty." We proceeded to question Jonathan. "Where is she?" But he was unreliable in his answers. Careful was his demeanor. The matter should be considered by Jonathan. "Well, I won't say too much about someone until I know for sure," she pointed out. "I'd rather not deal with all the, 'he's a secret squirrel.' Let's see what God thinks about this." And I have given her time to turn away from her immorality because, what? God is patient, are both lessons here. She has been given time, but she refuses to take it. Here's what the Bible says about those who refuse. It could be anyone, you, me, or anyone else. When you stop wanting to do something, you start to walk away, which makes the art God will use against you stronger. People expect religious leaders who preach truth, healing, and responsibility to live by those values every day, not just when they're on TV or in a sermon. That's particularly true if you're in charge of a massive Christian network like Daystar, which has millions of users worldwide. And when something as horrific and distressing as the claim that your own granddaughter was abused comes to light, people expect even more. Why? Because it's private and painful. And that's the type of situation that calls for openness and honesty, not well thought out comments that don't say much. No one wants to hear filler, just the truth. As a child, they want to know that their worries are being taken seriously. Unfortunately, they haven't been receiving that. It's not just one podcast talk or one disappointing moment that caused all this trouble for Joni Lamb. There's more to it than that. There are numerous choices, a pattern of behavior, and more. People have been watching Joni and Daystar's spending closely for the past few weeks. So let's start there. Where is our money really going? Contributors who have been with the network for many years, if not decades, are beginning to question whether the funds that were entrusted to them in good faith to support ministry work, global missions, and the gospel were actually spent on personal spending, luxury items, and the concealment of private matters that were supposed to remain hidden from the public eye. Reports have surfaced regarding questionable expenditure, such as private jet trips, extravagant vacations, and possibly even the misappropriation of ministry funds. Rumors have also circulated within Daystar regarding the prioritization of protecting powerful individuals over protecting the innocent or being transparent and accountable. It should be noted that none of these accusations have yet been proven in court. Nevertheless, the questions raised are serious, and those who ask serious questions should receive serious answers. So far, we have not received any response from them. The current situation appears to be more of a distraction than an explanation. "Yes," Joni responded, but in a manner that many believe sidesteps the actual issues. Broadly speaking, she stated that blogs and podcasters were spreading false information, but she did not specify which lies were involved. She avoided directly addressing the concerns, which has left many, particularly those who have entrusted Daystar with their resources, wondering if their money was misappropriated or used to cover up scandals instead of saving souls. This event has sparked a larger conversation that encompasses more than just Daystar. It raises the difficult but important question of how much faith groups can we trust when they claim to be serving a higher purpose? That is a challenging question, but it is fair, because with great power comes great responsibility. When someone takes the stage, speaks on a Christian TV show, or writes a letter pleading for financial support in the name of Jesus, they are representing something sacred in carrying the faith and trust of others. When they lie or misuse this trust for their own benefit or to protect their reputation, it damages not only their character, but also the faith of others. This is terrible because it leads people to believe that God or the church let them down. Now we are at a point where Joni Lamb has finally spoken up, but her response has only served to further polarize the situation. Anger it has caused and hurt many. Friendship doesn't just happen. Trust must be gained, and for many people right now, that trust has been broken. When children are involved, when ministry funds could have been used for personal gain, and when God's name is used to protect silence instead of truth, people will ask questions. This story will not go away until those questions are answered with facts and responsibility, not just generalizations. The Daystar television network and Joni Lamb are in the spotlight right now, and rightfully so. There's more going on than star drama or internet rumors. Real people are moved by this, and they are sure they were a part of something good and holy. What they thought is now being shaken to its core. For real, it's not just it's about hope. People give because they believe it will make the world a better place by feeding the poor, mending broken families, and sharing the gospel with those who need to hear it. And that's what ministries claim to do. For a long time, Daystar had the image of a strong network run by religious people who were trying to change lives. But that picture is starting to crumble. And behind it all are some very important questions. At the center of it all is Daystar's head, Joni Lamb. Many people looked up to her, but now she's in the midst of a storm. And this storm isn't just caused by bad news or internet gossip. The accusations are very strong and are supported by leaked documents, whistleblowers, and former employees who say they witnessed what happened. It's important to talk about what happened at Daystar, but
丙欄第13項相隔多大的反映我爹你是在買能貴有資金做在家湯相隔多大的
not little sums like a few extra office supplies or a nice hotel for a service trip. The stories say that the money was used to buy 7 homes for personal use, not 1 or 2. Among them is a huge ranch in Texas, which most people could never afford. Then comes the honeymoon. This honeymoon is not a quiet weekend at a simple house, but a fancy trip that supposedly cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this is the part that hurts people the most. All of it may have been paid for with money that people gave because they thought it would be used to further the kingdom of God.
但是已經在現在了，並且有難他們在多位在明他們的時候恭敬。
If you sent a check or clicked donate on a website thinking you were helping a missionary feed hungry kids in another country, you might have discovered that your money went toward a fancy wedding instead. It hurts to be betrayed in that way, and sources say it gets worse after that. People who used to work at Daystar have said that Joni and others at the top of the company made personal purchases look like charity costs on paper. According to them, the money was spent in a way that made it look official and real, even though it wasn't.
但是行之也難，再難下明欠債迴避，新健身信心上的嚴謹。
The woman who makes her bad choices is 100% about him, his brokenness, his immaturity, and his addiction. Proverbs 11:1.
這些清淨一切，有們分在做何交警就來整，但是您在人經就難了。
On this one, I want to say this. Whether you're married, in a committed relationship or not, you are not to blame for their choices. That's a big deal for a church that talks about being honest, having integrity, and doing God's work.
就您大人你，這也難僅僅見身言。
Speaking up is important. Former employees have reported being intimidated, told to be quiet, issued formal warnings, or even fired. This is concerning because, if everything is fine, why not simply be open and honest? There's no need to try to scare people into silence. This is where the situation becomes sad, because one of the most baseless accusations against Joni Lamb has nothing to do with money. And it concerns her niece, Baby Lamb. Several news outlets and individuals with knowledge of the situation have reported sexual abuse of a child, and it is alleged that Joni attempted to conceal the incident rather than protect the child and ensure that justice was served. Several have speculated that Joni wanted to keep the story from getting out because she didn't want to defend the injured little girl. This has shocked many because protecting children is essential, not just for public relations purposes. It is the morally right thing to do. Whenever the leader of a Christian network who portrays Jesus daily fails to do that, people begin to question their familiarity with her. Jesus himself expressed his concern for the safety of children. If anyone harms one of these innocent ones, those who believe in him, it would be better for them to have a heavy millstone tied around their neck and drown in the depths of the sea. Matthew 18:6. In other words, harming a child or failing to protect one is considered one of the worst sins by God. Here we are. Many are bewildered, hurt, furious, and to be honest, their hearts are crushed. Daystar was once a lovely haven of faith, healing, and truth. But now, those who have invested time, energy, and faith in it are starting to question everything. Those who are asking these difficult questions still don't have the answers. Did I unknowingly assist in funding a deception? Was my money going toward defending the powerful rather than those in need? Above all else, did the adults whose job it was to protect a child injure and disregard her? People want facts, not just another speech or radio interview. They want someone to take responsibility, to admit fault, and to tell the truth. Because there should be no slacking off when it comes to money, children, and pleading with God for help. Joni Lamb has a choice. She can continue to use evasive language and point fingers at bloggers. Or she can stand up for the people who built Daystar with humility, honesty, and a genuine concern for them. Until then, the questions and sadness will only intensify. This isn't merely a business matter. It's about trust and hope. And for many, it's about rebuilding their faith after something they trusted betrayed them in the worst way. People often place a great deal of faith in church leaders and Christian organizations. When we hear the names pastors, preachers, and Christian networks, we typically picture people who feed the hungry, share the gospel, assist those going through tough times, and make the world a better place, one good deed at a time. Similarly, for a long time, people thought of Daystar Television Network and its leader, Joni Lamb, as someone who was in the spotlight, had a large following, and was on a platform that could be seen all over the world. She was once a trusted voice of faith and the beating heart of Christian television. Things have changed, though. Everything is being scrutinized. Joni Lamb is being accused of misusing millions of dollars that her followers gave her. This is alleged to include private jets, expensive homes, lavish vacations, and even covering personal expenses by claiming it's for the church. Consider this for a second. People gave Daystar money thinking it would help build God's kingdom, spread the gospel, and aid the needy. But what if that money was being used to buy beach resorts, expensive clothes, or hoarder? The judge has not yet made a decision because not all evidence has been proven in court. However, here's the thing. More and more evidence is being presented. Leaked documents, emails, financial records, testimony from former Daystar employees and whistleblowers, individuals within the company who report wrongdoing, are the ones we're talking about. This isn't simply a group of troublemakers. It's real people who saw things, cared, and attempted to speak out. However, they claim that their voices were silenced. Some claim that they were threatened with lawsuit unless they stopped. Others claim that they were advised not to speak out, not to ask too many questions, or even their jobs threatened. It's hard to comprehend the terror of knowing something is wrong, wanting to do the right thing, and being punished or silenced. Why not be forthright about the whereabouts of the funds and the true nature of the behind-the-scenes dealings? This is the root cause of people's anger, confusion, and sadness, because trust is more important than money. When individuals give to charity, it is not merely a financial contribution. It is a heartfelt expression of trust in something larger than themselves. The donor could have been a single mother who felt compelled to share her last $10 in the hopes that it would help someone, a teenager who received the funds as a birthday present, or even a religious leader who felt led them to believe in a higher calling. However, if those gifts were mismanaged and the funds were used to construct lavish mansions and take extravagant vacations, it would be betrayal, not just bad financial sense. It would be betrayal. No one who has given their all in the name of faith should have to deal with this. Joni Lamb has been given a lot. To whom much is given, much will be required. She is wealthy, powerful, and has a huge stage where she speaks to millions of people. But with such power comes the responsibility to do what is right. If the accusations are true, and she did indeed use God's name and money for her personal gain, then she must be held accountable for her actions, her choices, and the faith that she undermined. It breaks my heart that things like this impact not only finances, but also faith. Some who once trusted Daystar now feel betrayed, and not only by the network, but by Christianity itself. Some are leaving the church because they say, if this is what faith looks like, I don't want any part of it. It's not just what Joni Lamb did that matters. What other people have done in God's name could cause them to lose faith in Him. This is nothing new, is it? Large-scale scandals, the deposition of revered religious figures, and the demise of massive missions brought about by greed and deceit have all happened before. Whenever it does, it shocks the public. This is why honesty is paramount in service. Being truthful, transparent, and accountable aren't just nice ideas, they're essential. People are paying attention. They want Joni Lamb to speak out, but they don't want her to skirt responsibility by citing vague Bible verses. Instead, they want her to speak the truth. They want her to answer for her actions, not only in court, but also to God and the individuals who have supported her throughout the years. The passage from John 8:32, "Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free," keeps cropping up. And that's what the people desire, the truth. Their desire for candor stems from a desire to begin mending fences, restoring faith, and repairing harm. And it's not limited to Joni alone. The whole affair has me wondering how much faith we can put in religious organizations, how easy it is to manipulate others through faith, and why leaders must be humble and answerable rather than simply strong. Proverbs 10:9. According to a promise, those who walk in integrity will be safe, but those who take crooked paths will be caught. This means that being honest and doing the right thing will lead to peace, while lying will result in trouble. However, the truth will eventually come out. As Luke 8:17 says, "There is nothing hidden that will not be made known, and there is nothing secret that will not be known and come to light." This means that every secret will be revealed. In the end, light triumphs over evil. So what's the next step? If you're hurt, confused, or lost because of this, hold on to the truth. Keep hoping. Remember that people fail, but God never does. The story continues beyond this scandal. There are still good people, churches, and organizations that do the right thing, and believers who stand strong. But if you still want answers, keep asking and pushing for the truth. Your goal shouldn't be to bring people down, but to fix what's been broken. Because when the truth comes out, it makes room for healing, restoration, and fairness, both in God's eyes and the law. The world is watching, the truth is emerging, and people are prepared for justice, healing, and change. We don't